All right, Coach Tujague. Did I say it right?
You
Tujague.
did. 2J.
Yeah, my last
2J.
name's my last name's Kachevsky, so I don't even bother with it. I'm like, just Coach Steve. Don't even worry about it.
There you go. There you go.
Offensive line coach at NC State. Coach, thanks for being here during your time off. I know
A-
time off is precious.
Absolutely. Love the opportunity to talk. So,
Um, so let's talk about you for a second. You're at NC State now. What made you get into coaching, and what was kind of the path to get you to NC State?
yeah, that's a awesome question. So like when I was done playing, you chase the dream of trying to play in the National Football League, and that was very short-lived. You think about like what can you do that has the camaraderie of college football and in the locker room and the buddy and your brothers and I went to my wife and I was like, a police officer. She's like, yeah, I'm not marrying a cop. Like, all right, I can understand that. And I was like, how about a firefighter? And she's like, yeah, I'm not too thrilled about you running into a building that people are running out of. So man, I worked in sales and that was fun. And I worked in a trucking with a trucking company, and that was fun because it was blue collar, white collar, like in and out of that. And then man, I just really, really missed the game and started coaching at the junior college I played at. The head coach was the defensive coordinator when I played there, and he gave me my first job, Pete Davis. Man, I was there for 4 years. Man, and I told my wife I really enjoy this coaching thing. And I was working a bunch of odd jobs at the time, like all of us do, and I was like, I got to go back to school and get my master's degree if I really want to do this in GA. And she's like, no, 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 no. I was with you for that school part, and that we're not doing that. I was like, I think this will be different. And so got a master's degree in psychology from the University of Redlands and was the offensive line coach slash GA there for 2 years. And man, launched right into coaching junior college football in Southern California at College of the Canyons. I was there for 16 years, which is awesome. The last 8 as the head coach, and man, really had no aspirations of coaching at the Division I level. Man, I was a product of the California community college system. I loved it. It gave me a great life, an opportunity to give back, and then this guy called Bronco Mendenhall called me. And said, "Hey, what do you think about coaching the offensive line at BYU?" And I was like, let me think about it, coach. And I went home and told my wife, and she's like, "What, are you crazy? We're out of here. We're going." So, man, it kind of just took off from there, and was at BYU, and then was fortunate enough to leave with Bronco when he took the head job at the University of Virginia. And then he stepped down from college football for 2 years. And again, very, very lucky and blessed, was retained by Tony Elliott at the University of Virginia. And then, man, I had always had heard of Dave Dorn. I knew what his mantra was and what he embraced. And man, he called me up 3 years ago now, and had already turned down 4 jobs at that point. Because we had the tragedy at UVA with the young men that had been murdered, and my wife and I decided that we were going to stay and help through that process. And Coach Dorn called me, and first I thought it was a prank, and I just his whole like hard, tough together, blue collar Midwest guy. I mean, his favorite 10 minutes of every day is he and I watching Inside Run. And so I fit in that culture real well, and just was very, very grateful for the opportunity. And then, man, walked into a really good room, very talented room, and adding to that year in and year out. So that's how I got to NC State. I've been blessed. I'm going into my 32nd year of coaching college football, and have only been at 6 different institutions. So, man, it's been wild and very blessed and fortunate ride.
Yeah, that's awesome because when you hear that long of a career, it's like 15 schools,
Yeah, yeah,
18 schools, and like that's the other thing I told my wife in college. I was like, if I do it, I may have to move a lot.
yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You don't carry a lot of stuff in your house. You're a minimalist. So I just yeah, it's a stick and move mentality. But like I said, I've been very blessed. So
Is it true that college coaches sometimes don't even unpack when they move because they got to wait and see if they keep their job at the end?
that that typically that was not the case. My wife is she's a go-getter. So
Yeah.
everything gets unpacked, and a lot of times boxes just get thrown away with stuff in it if it's not unpacked within the first month. Like there's zero chance of hoarding in the Tujague household with Miss Coach Tujague. So, but you throw away a lot of stuff when you do move, find out what's necessary. But like I said, I have not had to not unpack. Like some guys, their offices are very bland. You know, you'd think I'd been in my office for 17 years at Instant State. Just a lot of family stuff around there, and I think it's pretty cool. But some guys they don't do that.
Um, so you said you were the head coach. I didn't know that. Head coach of a junior college. Uh,
Yes,
what made you just love the junior college? Because sometimes, junior
yeah,
colleges, even for players and coaches, it's like this is a one stop, this is a 2 year stop. We got
yeah,
to move on. What kind of just kept you at that place?
yeah. I mean, so the very first Last Chance U was going to be filmed at College of the Canyons,
Okay.
and the very first one, and we were all excited, and our college president at the time, with great wisdom, said, Coach Tujay, I don't think that that's a good idea that a camera follows you around for 24 hours. And I'm not sure that's the exposure that we want. And I was like, oh no, it'll be fine. And it ended up she was right. After you see the first couple ones come out, you're like, oh geez.
Right.
But no, it's the last chance. I mean, these kids are, they didn't have the academics, or they're late bloomers. They developed late or young for their grade. And so again, you really get to see lives change.
Mhm.
There's young men that, man, social media has been awesome, but you get to stay in touch with them, and you're just like, I go to my wife and I'm like, man, I can't believe this kid's still alive,
Mhm.
and he's thriving, great career, family of three, and you're just blown away at the the ability that this game has to teach people, man, how to get through hard things and how to do it together. It was awesome. Like really get to change lives. And you get to do that at this level too. Don't get me wrong. The relationship piece is still a big part of it. But yeah, it was tough because I mean, I really loved the junior colleges. I really loved, because those kids, man, you tell them what to do and they're doing it. You ask them to jump and they're asking how high halfway up. And because of the staff that I had, the people that I had around me, we were very successful and had 22, 27 kids each year get Division I scholarships off of those teams. So
Um, do you think that was the biggest thing you learned from junior college was the relationship building that you could take to the Power Five, or was there much
yeah,
more that you could use?
no, I think one of the things that, like, first of all, you're not above anything. Like, so, I'm doing laundry, emptying trash cans.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's your program, it's your name, you're the CEO, and again, like, just everything matters, and I think that's what it taught me going to the Power Four level. Like, I remember my first time at in the O line room at BYU. I'm like, man, I'm only got to watch over 22 guys. Like, this is going to be easy,
Yeah.
and so I think head coaches appreciate that. I know I did as a head coach. Guys that had been head coaches coaching a position, there's just a difference to it. But yeah, I mean, you are with some of those kids at their lowest lows and their highest highs. It's just like being with great examples, Jason Pierre-Paul. Like, man, it was, I mean, unbelievable. Seeing where he came from, what he had risen to. I mean, I think he was the fifth pick overall in the draft, and then just see him and how he's thrived. There's so many success stories like that.
Right. So you moved on, bigger schools, you're coaching O line. Was that the only position you would ever coach at that level was O-line, or was there another one?
Oh no, so I was a coordinator, so I coached quarterbacks.
Okay.
I spent a year coaching linebackers. Um, but I mean, my home is obviously the offensive line room. That to me is, and obviously I'm probably a little biased, but it's the greatest position in my opinion in all sports. Yeah, just the it's just different. The camaraderie in that room. Some of the best times in your life are in an offensive line meeting room.
Yes. Oh,
So yeah,
I did O-line for most of it. I was coaching 18, 19 years old. I'm about to be 35, so I've been doing
yeah,
it a minute. But most of the career has been offensive line, and the past 5 years I've done O-line at the school. And the head
love it.
coach is like, "Man, your meeting room is loud." And I'm like, "Yeah, because 'cause we're having fun. Like, I'm making
Yeah,
jokes, I'm
yeah,
doing
oh yeah,
this."
oh
My dad jokes come in, or
yeah,
when you try not to yell and curse, I'm like, "Picture that's a buffet line and you're trying to get there. Like, come on, like, get there,
yeah,
run," something
yeah.
like that.
The analogies that we use are priceless.
Oh,
I've had many players threaten to write a book. So, but
you should, at the end of your career, write a book about
oh
coach O-line meeting room.
yeah, it would be a top seller. New York's top list.
Um, you may not see this, I kinda see this. First of all, I think there's less coaches in the world than there has been. Like, it's for us anyway at the high school level, we always have a stipend open or two, and it
Yeah,
takes us months and months and months to like get somebody to donate their time and do it. But the next one was finding like O line coaches. And the reason why I bring that up is because I went to Eastern Illinois University. I grew up by Champaign Urbana. My
uh-huh.
wife's from the suburbs of Chicago, so happy life. 2018, she got a job up here. I had to move up to 4-lane roads, no more country roads, stuff like that.
Yeah,
And the only way I could get my foot in the door was, "What have you coached?" And I said, "Well, I've done O line, like I've said, I've done quarterbacks, running backs, whatever." And then I say O line, they go, "You're in." Like, I
yeah,
need
done.
an O line coach or a second O line coach. Like, we need.
Yeah,
And the couple schools I've been at, that's how I got my foot in. But they always said to me, "I need a real O line coach." And I said, "What do you mean by a real one?" And they said, "Well, sometimes we just throw people there." And so it's like, why do people may not want to do it? Like, why is that kind of, it's the most important one, but some people just don't want to do it either.
yeah. I mean, I love that. I think like, and I tell this to people all the time. Like, again, and there's so many people that will argue different things. I don't want to hear it, to be honest with you. Like, as soon as your son, right, he's gonna, as soon as he can sit up and walk, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna throw a ball at him and you're gonna start playing catch.
Mhm,
And everybody, you get on the phone, you call your buddies, hey, let's go down to the park and play catch. And I mean, nobody turns that down. Everybody goes down there. Heck, man, my buddies called me at 6'6", 300. I was down there at the park playing catch. Man, nobody goes down to the park and plays block,
mhm.
right?
Yep.
And so to me, it's the most developmental, the most like there's so much more position mastery, in my opinion. And I'm not, I'm saying other positions have their position mastery. And again, the thing I love to bring up to my guys all the time is like, we don't need the quarterback to do his job for us to do ours. We don't need the running back to do his job for the receivers. But they all need us to do our job so they can do theirs. And again, unless you're doing that 7-on-7 underwear Olympic stuff, so to me, it's like it's we have to do our job in order for this institution, this program, this offense to work. We have to do our job. So I think the technical part of it's why people shy away from it. I mean, I'll go every single year and I'll try to do as many Glazier clinics as I can just so I can teach guys that are interested in doing it. I love it. I mean, I love the opportunity to talk ball and with anybody. Have small colleges stop by the last couple of weeks to talk ball, get on the board and talk about wide zone or inside zone or 6-man pass pro and drills. And just again, it's lots of information to go over and to be able to understand. And I think it's getting better with the internet, with YouTube and all that. But who are you watching? How's it apply to what you're doing? All that stuff is what is the most valuable for an offensive line coach.
Yeah, and couple of guys will say things. I'm like, but I have to watch 5 guys do something at one time. I'm not watching the front side of a pass play. Like, what do these 2 wide receivers do? Because I'm not saying that they don't have to watch people, but realistically, like, I'm now the OC. I'm like, well, pre-snap, if that's taken away, I don't even look. I'm looking at the quarterback's read after that.
Yeah.
But O-line during that pass play when I was O-line, like, I knew the offense, right? Like, I knew what was going on, but I had to watch all 5 of those guys try to pick up this stun or do this.
Yeah.
Are they communicating? If the running back's involved in picking it up, like, I have to know where that's happening at.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's always funny. They'll look at me, what happened? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to watch 6 guys. Let my brain process it for like 5 seconds, and I can tell you, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm watching. You have to watch them all 5 do something at the same time.
Yeah. It's hilarious because there's times where I'll go back. I cannot go to sleep until I grade the film that night, that day. And I'll be watching and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't like, when did that happen?
Right.
Like, it was a big play or how the result of it or what, I mean, to me, it's just, my eyes are constantly glued on those 5 guys. And I have, like, again, I'm very blessed. I have an amazing assistant offensive line coach, and, I'll take a center over and he'll take the other 2. But again, it's just training your eyes. A lot of it early on in my career, you watch one guy and then, man, I've just started staring at the ground in front of me and looking at the whole picture, right, of all 5 guys moving. And that's really helped a lot, actually. But again, it's like you said, there's a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of the offensive line coach, and I love it. I mean, it's all part of it, man. To me, it's the most important part of the game.
Well, because I did at this school, it's my 6th year here now. I became the OC. Well, our OC stepped down. He's a smart guy. He stepped down to coach golf. He's gonna have an easier time. I'm like, you're a smart man.
Yeah.
So I became the OC. Well, now I got to coach the quarterbacks. And I was like, okay, I've done it before. But my problem is already in our team segment, where do my eyes keep going? It kept going towards.
That's where your training is.
Oh, God. Like, I got to start watching the quarterback get the snaps and do all that stuff, the whole offense in general. But my eyes have been going to the O-line because I played it, I coached it, and that's where my eyes go.
Oh, yeah.
And so now what's even more awesome is our O-line coach is super excited. He's young. He played. He's super excited. Loves it. Everything O-line loves it. He's constantly sending me stuff off Instagram and X and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, awesome. But since I coached it, I can give him advice of like, what about this drill? What about this? And I'm trying to give him, like, you do what you think is right.
Yeah.
But he's coming to me and doing that. I don't think a lot of OCs, if they've only coached something, they don't have the insight to be like, yeah, let's talk about O-line. I can tell you exactly what's happening here, or what I would do.
Yeah.
But OCs, I don't think always do that.
No, I think, throughout my career, I've had guys that I absolutely know O-line play. Maybe not the exact specifics, ins and outs as far as technique, but they understand the scheme, which is a lot of fun to work for a guy that's an offensive coordinator that knows that. A lot of fun, and obviously can give insight because they were an O-line coach or whatever. But again, also too, there's been where they don't know anything about it, and that's okay too, because it gives you full autonomy to do what you want to do. But no, I think exactly, man. And that was what helped me, is I was the offensive coordinator and the O-line coach, and that was tough. That was tough. And I got very lucky when I was at College of the Canyons, ended up hiring a really, really good line coach. And I kind of just passed the baton to him, and it allowed me to work more with the quarterback. And again, it was tough, like you said, training your eyes, but man, it's fun getting to coach other positions, but man, there's always that calling to go back home.
Well, I was an OC when I was like 22, 23, and you think you know everything, right? I'll just leave it at that. You think you know everything. But I was coaching the quarterback then. I remember my first year doing it. I was so excited. Like, I'm coaching the quarterback. I've never done it before. This is awesome. Second year, still doing it. I'm standing there. I'm getting bored. I'm like, when can we start hitting people? Like, when can we start doing whatever? I'm like, oh, wait, the quarterback doesn't hit anybody. And so sometimes I'd be like, hey, go with the receivers coach. I'll be right back. And I'd go watch the O-line and just kind of go down there and watch them. And I'm already doing that this year. Like in camp, I'm like, all right, go warm up your arm. And then I look over at the O-line, just making sure.
See what they're doing. Yeah.
All right, let's go do mesh with the running back and making sure this is happening. And I'm like, Practice seems to take a lot longer because with the O-line, it goes really quick, right? You have all
Oh
this
yeah,
time.
you're like, wait a minute, that was 5 minutes. There's no way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it goes a lot faster. It goes a lot faster. So
Well, and then you do 7-on-7 or whatever real quick. You got to deal with all these personality. I think that's the other thing is you're dealing with these personalities with your skill guys, which is fine. Like it's nothing against
yeah,
the kids. It's just it's different. O
yeah,
line, it's they have personalities, but it's also very similar to each other.
correct.
Whereas the skill guys, they all have their big personas, big personalities, and
Yeah,
or like the best is like, well, they were holding me on my route, and I have to get the O line coach in me, and I say, I don't care.
yeah,
Like I could care less.
yeah,
With the O line, they say that to me, and I'm like, get them off of you, punch, do
yeah,
that. Like you could say
yeah,
these things.
yeah. No, it's definitely different. It's definitely different. And like I said, I love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's the best position room, position group in all of college football, or in all of sport for that matter.
Oh yeah. Oh, the like every right before every practice, we'd have a position meeting, and I loved it. I'd walk in there, and sometimes I play tricks on them. I come in
Oh yeah,
or do whatever. I come in with a cowboy hat on, or I do something. You come in and just, or like the best is when you just replay a play for like 5 times in a row, don't say anything. Then you
yeah,
just look at them and you go, "What the hell is this?" And they just start laughing. It's I don't know. It's the best. And I do the meeting rooms now with the wide receivers, quarterbacks, and they're just all very serious. And it's like, guys, keep that.
yeah. No, it's definitely a different room. It's definitely a different room. So
Um, Going from Virginia to NC State, being in the ACC, um, was it not an awkward thing, but like you're just going from one ACC school? Like I see no problem with it because it's your career. You're doing what's best for you and what's
yeah,
for you. But for some, it might be like that's an awkward transition, like from one school to the next. It's in the same conference.
yeah. So we had only when my 8 years at UVA, we had played NC State twice, once here and then once at in Charlottesville. And man, the one here was a decent game. They got us good, but the one at our place, man, they beat the brakes off us. And so because there was the Atlantic and the coastal side, so they were on the Atlantic side, so we didn't cross over as much. But no, it was very familiar with the conference, and it was to me it wasn't that big of a deal
Okay.
at all. I just think like again, one of the things is that if you think about it, there's what like 67 Power Four football programs, so there's 67 defensive coordinators. Like after a while, you get to know all of them.
Right.
You know, after a while, you get to know all the D line coaches, the linebacker coaches, and you kind of get to understand what they do and how they do it. So, and again, everybody's going to add a new wrinkle here or there each week. Um, you know, it's all good.
Yeah.
But to me, it wasn't that big of a deal. I think more than anything for me, man, right now, the biggest difference I would tell you is that NC State is a big time football school,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
big time football school. Our fans, Wolfpack Nation, they're out of control. I mean, if we have a kickoff at noon or 7 p.m., they are in our parking lot at 7:30 getting after it. They are very passionate about college football here in Raleigh, which I love, absolutely love. So that would be the biggest difference. It's you know the same thing when I was in Provo, man. Those fans are out of control, out of control. But you know, again, that's what you want. You want it to matter. And so
Right.
to me, that's the biggest deal of this whole thing, man. Just man, my guys, the way they play is appreciated. It's the physicality of the game is totally acceptable, and man, it's encouraged. I love it. So this is a great place.
Well, from a outsider fan perspective, I remember growing up, NC State kind of gets overshadowed by North Carolina, right? Because that's the school. But when you do watch any sport at NC State, they're like that sneaky, tougher team, if that makes sense. Like they're
Oh no,
growing
yeah,
up, anytime they were on TV, it was kind of, wait a minute, they're in this game. Like, who's NC State? When you were younger. Now that
Yeah.
you're older, I watch all teams that I can, but they were always that sneaky, like, cool, you don't know us, but we're gonna come in there and just be tough. Basketball, football, whatever it was.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because when I was at UVA, we came up to Raleigh to play them, and it was probably like the end of the first quarter, and I'm coming to the bench, and my guys are disheveled, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what, like, what's going on? What's wrong with you guys? And they're like, Coach, they're trying to hurt us. I'm like, what? Like illegal stuff? And they're like, no, they're just trying to break us off. And I'm like, yeah, that's college football. Like, what are you telling me? And it just, I just, they were so friggin' physical. And I mean, and again, I just little motivation on the sideline. And, like I said, we played them pretty tough here in Raleigh. But when we played them, yeah, I think it was 2020. It was COVID. I think it was game 3. Oh my gosh, they beat the brakes off us, and it was just they were pummeling us. And so to me, I've always known Coach Dorn and his program to be that physically dominant, and always like, man, standing toe to toe, just throwing blows, and we see where it all ends up at the end of 60 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's why anytime they were on TV, I was
Yeah,
watching them. Just I watch any game, doesn't matter. But I always was that person that's like, okay, this is dominated by North Carolina. I want to watch the other team, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Like, I'd rather
yeah.
watch them. And like you said, I only know them as football. No offense to basketball. They had that run a couple
No,
years
yeah.
ago.
Oh, yeah. Last year, yeah. 2 years ago, yeah. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree. I agree with you. Like I said, like, man, I'll tell you this. Like, and again, I obviously don't like talking about that other school at all. But I will tell you, like, the last 4 years, we beat the brakes off them.
yep.
And again, in the first year ago, we were on our 5th or 6th string quarterback. And so, but again, it's just a mindset here through Coach Dorn and what he does. And man, we talk a lot about ourselves. And like you said, I think when you start thinking about the other schools in this area or just the state of North Carolina, you start thinking a lot about basketball. And
Hmm.
I'll tell you, man, at NC State, that's not the case. Like, you talk about football, like wrestling, our wrestling program, like the tough sports, man, we're really good at.
Right. And I think that's what I respected watching them
Yeah,
over
yeah,
the years. Uh, Now, obviously, I'll bring it up. College football's changed a lot.
a
Transfer
lot.
portal,
Yeah,
it's changed so much. Um, and I feel for college coaches and people. I'm probably the only one because I tell people their workload just changed and doubled for
yeah,
no more money, right? Like,
yeah,
hey, and somebody like, oh, who feels bad for them? They're coaching football. I'm like, no, you don't understand
yeah.
like what they're doing. How have you guys adjusted with everything going on?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I would tell you this: like, I still believe, and this recruiting cycle has proved that to me. There's some guys that, man, that we've, what do you want to call it, win, or they've committed that, man, the relationship is really strong. And
Hmm.
there's guys that chose other schools, and man, that phone call this year has been like, Coach Tujague, man, I love you. I'm so grateful for everything you've done for me. And again, and everybody says, it's not the money. The money doesn't matter until it does, right? And
Right.
so again, adapting and being on top of it and trying to figure it all out as the landscape of college football changes. I still believe in the relationship piece. I still think that's a big part of it. It is becoming more and more transactional. I have a great story. Like, the NC State football stadium's been sold out for 13 straight years. Okay,
Awesome.
not one of those fans has come to the game to watch us coach. They've come there to see the players play,
Yep.
and I'm all for NIL, and I think this year's a little bit of an anomaly just because the before the July 1st signing bonuses that schools are giving away from their regular slush fund that they're not going to be able to do in the years to come. So I think that's kind of skewed things a little bit this year. It'll be more back to balance. And again, like I said, I played with a Heisman Trophy winner, and the only way you'd ever know that is I got in the way of a couple pictures of them trying to take a him. And you go back to the locker room there in the equipment room, and there's a stack of jerseys from the year he played, all signed. And those things get auctioned off from anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 a jersey, still to this day.
Oh,
And he's never gotten a dime for it. And he would never ask. He would never even consider asking for a dime. But the school's making all that money off the players, and so I love the fact now that the schools are on the hook for it.
yep.
It's coming. I'm all for it. I think it's a little bit ridiculous with some of the prices some of these kids are making, but man, fair market value, right? Again,
Right.
if it is what it is. But man, I'll tell you, like, there are more pieces that you have to try to figure out, and you have to present, and you work on that relationship piece and what matters to the young man and what matters to his family, and you go from there. But man, it's not you can't just throw your hands up. You got to roll your sleeves up and get in there and work, and it is created more work. But again, if you're really pouring into kids, then man, it's work worth doing. I believe
Yeah.
that. I think it's really work worth doing. And so I think this first year, just because of that monopoly money on the front end that people have, is going to supposedly disappear. Then now you have, I think it'll be a little bit more fair, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
Just because everybody's playing with the same amount of money.
Right. Because I know for me, on the outside looking in, obviously, I don't know anybody that says they shouldn't make money. Right? We're all for
Yeah.
them.
Yes.
It's like you have a job, you're making money doing a job, they're doing it, they're
Yes.
whatever. Everybody agrees. I think it was just how accelerated things went. Um, and then the fact that there's people out there taking advantage of them. Like I was just talking to Coach Mummy about if a guy comes in and says, "Well, I'll
Yeah.
get you to this school and I'll take 15%," and it's like 15%, like the NFL guys
Highway
pay their guys
robbery.
3%.
Yeah, it's highway robbery. And these guys they have no accreditation. They're
Right.
just they're like could be your homeboy,
Yep. Yep.
And so to me it's like I just that part bums me out, and we try to do a really good job of educating. Like, you've worked your tail off in high school to be given and afforded these opportunities, and you're just going to willingly give more than 3% to a guy
Yep.
like you've known for 6 days. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And again, like, how much negotiation really is there? And I think what people don't understand is, like, there's GMs, and once the playing field gets even, which
Mm,
it should after this year, you're only allowed X amount of dollars.
right.
So like I said, this year was super accelerated just because of the monopoly money on the front end.
Right.
But I think, like, for the O-line room, the GM's going to say, we have this much money for your current players and new players. So how and they have a plan on how to spend it. So bringing in an agent to negotiate that, like, that's not very smart, in my opinion.
Right.
Not now, maybe sometimes kids don't want to have those conversations because they don't want to seem that way or whatever. But man, it's your life. This
Right.
is your decision. You should be involved in that. And again, like, as a coach, we're not involved in it. But
Right.
I just don't see after this year an agent 15, like, some kids I know are paying 20%.
Oh.
Like, that's just like you're getting ripped off. And a
Oh.
lot of these kids are looking at their contracts and they don't even see, right, that those guys, and this is not any of our current players, because we've done a very good job of educating them. Our
Hmm.
current players are, but there's guys that have in the contract that percentage goes if they get in the NFL, and that guy can't do anything for them in the NFL because they're not an agent.
Right.
They're, and so again, it's like they're just going to keep getting money off these kids and not do anything because they've snuck it into the contract. If I'm a young man going through this right now, and my parents, just hire an attorney to look at the contract before you sign it.
Right.
Pay him $1,000 an hour or whatever it is. You're going to save all that money. And when it's time to renegotiate, who's going to renegotiate for you better than you?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
and then now you earn that money. I mean, it's just because again, in this position, the numbers are going to speak for themselves,
Right.
right? Once you've started playing. So
Well, and those guys are calling other teams
yeah,
saying this guy will come to your school for this
all
much
right,
money when that's you don't represent him. You're just trying to backdoor your way to getting that money. And
yeah,
now you're putting these thoughts in this kid's head. And that's the big word you're saying is like these young adults that are still trying to figure themselves out.
yes,
And like they don't know they pay taxes on this income. They don't like you have to educate
yeah,
them. Like,
oh yeah, oh yeah. It's all of that. Like they get a little NIL side deal, and whatever, it's 50 grand. That's great. I mean, that's awesome. Like, but man, you better put half of that away,
well,
right?
that I was just talking to Coach Mummy about that. Like, if I was 18, 19, and somebody said, "Here's 100 grand," I was taking it, right?
Oh
But
heck yeah,
but your parents might say taxes, and you're like, I don't have to do, or it's one ear
yeah,
out the other. And then tax season comes, like, hey, you owe us 20 grand. Well, I bought a car, I did this, I did
yeah,
this.
yeah.
I
Oh
have
yeah,
maybe they bought a house, an apartment, and they're doing this, and they're like, I don't have 20 grand to give you.
yeah. And that's the thing is these agents are not financial wizards, right? And they're I don't I just to me it's a bad deal. I think it's a bad unless you've got somebody who's actually an attorney, right? And it's 3 to 4%, right? And then they're also working and hustling for you to get deals outside of your actual contract with the school, then I think that's a different story. But if it's just some guy hustling for you, that's a bad deal, man. You're getting taken advantage, in my opinion.
Do
So
you think do you think that's probably the biggest problem that people don't hear about on TV? Because when I ask you guys, we only get information from what we see on ESPN and stuff, right? It's the Wild West, it's this, but that stuff
yeah,
that's not talked about enough. I don't
yeah,
think they just look at these specific players that are getting $2 million, but they're not talking about everything else.
yeah. I think it'd be interesting to do that. I think that would be an amazing piece ESPN could do. Just really how just tracing that money and how it's spent. And I know that there's probably rules and regulations about that and all that. But to me, it's just like it's an awesome opportunity to get a great jump start in life. But man, if you're paying 20% of it or 15% of it to some guy that really didn't do anything, you might, negotiation. There's like to me, I just don't know how much negotiation there really is right now, just because of this is what they're going to pay. This is how they're going to pay. And I just think it's a waste of money. That's my opinion.
Right,
And like I
right,
said, I don't see the value in it. Because again, if you're a kid and you feel like you're undervalued at your current school, man, you just walk into your gym and have a conversation with them
right,
and tell them why, right? And if you don't like it, there's this thing called the transfer portal, right? And go see what your
mm,
value is on the market. And there's a lot of people, like there's so many people calling kids and backdooring stuff for kids and stuff like that. And so and so is going to pay us this, and so is going to pay us that. I don't need that much, but put all that, dude. To me, all that's going to come to a screeching halt after all this monopoly money goes away, and everybody's going to have to stay within their budget. It'll be interesting to see people do that.
right. Um, Sort of the same topic and away from that part. I saw a video of a guy saying that coaches really can't build a culture anymore because of the transfer portal stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but your position groups, like there's still a culture part of it, right? Because
Yeah,
you can't compete and play without that. So why do you think they're saying that coaches like really can't build a culture because they're too busy roster managing? They're too busy doing other things.
yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to what that coach is willing to do, and again, I don't know who said that, and I don't want to blast them or whatever, but to me, it's been the total opposite. Like, there's nothing better, in my opinion, than recruiting a high school kid, because I've recruited him for over a year and a half, sometimes two. I know him, I know his family, I know exactly what I'm getting. Transfer portal, it's 48 hours
Hmm.
at the most, maybe a week, and anybody can pretend to be something for a week, right?
Right.
unless there's a history with that young man, or they're like you recruited him out of high school, or whatever the case may be, right? But I think, to me, first and foremost, the culture in your room is got to be able to be tough and withstand any of that pressure, because again, the right tackle needs the right guard to
Right.
do his job, right? And you got to lean on each other. And so, like, we do all kinds of different activities outside of football. I have the guys over to my house every Thursday night for dinner. And so, to me, it's just, what are you willing to do as a coach, right? To foster that culture, right? I mean,
Right.
are you walking into your room and it's just business, bop, 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 and then, hell, grown ass men don't even like to do that, right? There needs to be some culture building. So what are you doing, right, to build culture in your meeting room? To me, that, and again, I understand the roster management piece is a part of it, right? You got to have players. But to me, man, once you get your roster set, and I hope and I pray every night that the NC2A just puts one transfer portal date, so that way they're stuck with you for a year and you know that roster for a year, right? That, to me, that's more than fair in my opinion.
Yep.
And so once, if that happens, great. If it doesn't, then you adapt, man. You got to keep sticking and moving. Otherwise you get passed by. And so I just think, how committed is the coach to building the culture in that room? Today is one of the funniest things. I got a text message from one of my guys last night, and we had a team run this morning, and all the coaches were supposed to be on vacation. I'm still here in Raleigh. Man, I had every intention on showing up at 6 a.m., running them through some individual, like walking through it and then going through the team run and all that stuff. And one of my leaders texted me, said, "Hey, are you going to be at the team run tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Why is he texting me that? Of course I'm in town. He knows I'm in town." And then I said, "Well, I was planning on it unless you don't want me to come." And he's like, "Yeah, coach, I got it." So how does that happen, right? Without having that culture
Hmm.
take over. Like, again, to me, there's 5 levels of leadership. The first level is me talking to them, coach to player. And I think that's the least effective. The 5th level of leadership is me outside the circle, and they're taking care of business in their circle and they don't need me. Well, that's really hard for some coaches because this is a very ego driven sport. But some of the best offensive lines I've ever coached in my entire life, I'll work the shield for punt, or I'm doing the field goal PAT, right? So
Hmm.
I'm watching that and I come back to the bench and my guys, like, I'm like, "Hey, did it?" And they're like, "Yeah, coach, we got it all figured out already. We talked about it all." I was like, "Well, you want to fill me in?" and they're like, "Yeah, we got it." And so again, it's just like, when you have guys like that and they take command and they have leadership, like, one of the best dudes is Oluwatimi, man. Like, his second and his last 2 years he played for me, our sideline meetings were real quick. And man, and his last year there, we led the country in offense, And so it just, to me, having that culture, what are you doing to foster and grow and cultivate that culture in your room? Like, to me, if it's just you as the coach talking to the players, I don't think that's good. I think you're setting yourself up for failure because they're the ones playing, you
Right.
know. And again, my 32 years of offensive line and all that comes into peril, absolutely, in the heat of the moment and things like that. But again, for the most part, man, if my guys can handle it and they can fix it, because I can't be out there on the field fixing it. Right? It might be a 10-play drive, and the same thing might have happened play 2 as it did 8, and they got us on 2, but they didn't on 8. Man, that's my guys at the level 5 leadership.
Right. Right.
So
Well, that just jogged my memory because I don't claim to be this fantastic coach, but I have two similar stories. One trick I use is if practice is going bad when I was with the O line. If it's going bad, like it's just not going right. Sometimes I just go, "Hey guys, you're not ready, so go to the sideline. We'll just wait till team," and I'll walk away and I go help out another spot. One time I did that. Senior who'd been with me since he was a sophomore converted to a
yeah,
guard. I turned back around. They're redoing the drill and they're
yeah,
doing it themselves because they got
yeah,
mad that I stopped it and just said
yeah,
go. And the head coach goes, "What's happening?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let them figure it out." And they're doing it. And he goes, "You should go down there and watch them." I was like, "No, no, no. I want to see. I want to see what happens. If I walk down there right now, it'll be ruined. Like, just let
Yes.
it go." Um, and then like now I run our sprint stuff, but I have them do everything at the beginning first, and I show them. One day I
Yeah.
walked out there, I blew the whistle. Hey, it's 9 a.m. Let's go. They're waiting for me, and I was like, guys, this is your team, like the whole team. I'm like, go,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you figure it out. They get in a circle, everybody's looking at each other. And finally, the senior was like, I'll do it. Even if he's screwing it up, at least he was out there like doing
Correct.
it. And I'm just
Correct.
standing there with my arms crossed, like talking to the coaches, getting ready for practice. I don't even want to look. I'm like, this is your guys' team. Like, you figure
Yeah.
it out. Um, then I guess my third one was last year, our offense coordinator couldn't be at a game. He was in a wedding. So I was the OC for a game.
Yeah.
So I'm coaching quarterbacks, wide receivers. Halftime, I grabbed the old line and I said, hey, I'm not ignoring you guys, but now I got a lot of things going on. And my senior O lineman last year said, Coach, we've been meeting off the sideline ourselves. We got this. Like,
Yeah. That's
you're
awesome.
fine. And I'm like, and so then I start thinking like, did I do a good job? Like, what just happened?
Yeah. No, that's, yeah, it's powerful. It's very powerful to see that happen. And again, to me, like I said, I think, man, the more your guys can do, right, and the more they can go peer to peer evaluation, the more they can do without you as the position coach in there, man, the more effective you're going to be. Period. You're not going to tell me otherwise. Because if it's just me constantly talking to you, that's not sustainable.
Hmm. Well, and in my opinion, I'm at the high school, so it's different.
Yeah.
You have to have other conversations other than football sometimes with
Oh
them.
yeah. Oh
Even
yeah.
if it's at practice, like if you could tell, I sometimes would grab a kid and be like this summer already, I'd be like, oh, where you going on vacation this year? Like, oh, that's cool. Like, if I know the place, I tell them different things.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, you see that new video game that's coming out? Like, what's it called? You just make something up.
Yeah. No,
And
that's huge.
like, especially with a quarterback, like we had a joint practice, something happened. Normally you go up to there, I could just tell like he was flipping the ball to himself, he's a little frustrated. I go up to him and I'm like, man, you see that kid back there? He's really tall, man, like that defensive lineman over there. And you start talking about that, like get his mind off of what just happened.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we go out there and he throws like 5 straight completions. And it's like, see, I was telling him, let me do the thinking. You guys just do your thing.
Yeah. Just play ball, man. Yeah. It's powerful. I think the relationship piece, and that's where, like, especially I've seen it through my son's eyes, is, there's certain coaches that, you know, he'd hide bodies for. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all about trust. It's all about trust. If somebody wants to talk bad about my guys, I'm not, I'll knock their ass out. Unless it's the head
Right.
coach, he can talk about it's his program. He can say whatever he wants. But I want to fight, man. My guys aren't perfect, but they're my guys, and
Hmm.
they know I have their back. And so, to me, that's the most important thing is, man, do they have your back? And again, it's turning into a little bit like the NFL, where it's a lot of roster management, but still, man, you're in that room, you're in that foxhole together. And I mean, I know, it just, to me, it's like you got to trust each other. And how do you build that trust? That's the challenge, I think, of today's coaches. Like, yeah, there's roster management, but man, once they're locked in and they're your guys for those next 6 months, what are you doing to prove to them that you got their back,
Right.
right? And giving them an opportunity to trust you. So,
Yeah. So that's why I asked that, because it's still college football. It's still 18 to
correct,
22-year-olds,
correct,
even though it's roster
correct.
management.
Yeah,
In the NFL, they're 26 to 40 years old. It's different.
yes. And that's just say, they say all the science behind is the brain isn't fully developed till you're 24. And so, like, again, there's all types of teaching moments. And it's like we talked about in the beginning of the podcast. It was like, there's nothing better than when I get a wedding invitation or a birth announcement or, coach, man, I just got a huge promotion at work. Like, dude, my wife and I celebrate that more than like anything. Like,
Right.
these kids are become a part of my family. And to me, it's just that's the most important piece is, man, I don't care, man, the NFL, great. That's awesome. like 0.6% of the guys get into that, right? And man,
Right.
we're gonna work our tails off. We're gonna do something better 1% every day to make sure that that dream becomes a reality, right? I'm right there with you, okay? But dude, I'm gonna take way more pride in you being the best father, the best husband, the best doctor, the best garbage man, whatever it is your career path is you choose, man. I want you to be the best. You played for Coach Tujague. Like
Mhm.
that's going to be our mindset. And that's where the whole big men lead come from. Like, dude, that's our role. We have to be leaders, right? And I think to me, instilling that like family matters, your last name on the back of that jersey, man, think about all of the people before you and what they did for you to don that jersey and wear that name on the back of that jersey. Like, think about the sacrifices your mom or your dad or his
Mhm.
dad fought in wars so we can play this game, you know. And so it's not just your last name, man. You're representing lineage. And so
Yep.
it's again getting guys to realize that, right? So it's fun, man. What a great time to be a part of college football in this environment. In this, what a great time. You have an awesome opportunity to teach and lead young men, and heck, probably make the place a better place when you're done.
Well, coach, that's awesome. I appreciate you coming on here. I have to. I'm going to stop it right there. That was an awesome, awesome
Okay.
thing. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Steve, I'm this is awesome. I love talking ball, and I'm glad you had some great questions. And man, like I said, this is a huge deal for me. Just anytime I get a chance to talk, and I love it, man. I appreciate you doing this. Hey, good luck in the next couple weeks. Oh man, good luck, dude. But hey, you're surrounded by good people, so you'll be just fine.